for these breakfast sessions, we always like everybody to feel relaxed. I hope you've got your drink. Um, super. You know, hope you've got some questions and stuff. So basically, what we'll do is like we'll have like 45 minutes. We're just going to be going through, you know, how to take your business online. We've got Onyinye, who is a digital business guru. We went to school, same school, and there's 30 years difference between our start dates or something like that. So, she's a guru at a very precious age. And I'm really, really happy that I came across her because it's really inspiring the work that she's doing and how she was able to migrate her business onto a digital platform. And she's here to share some of her missteps so that you can kind of shortcut, and obviously some really top tips on how you can be as successful as you can be when you migrate onto the online platform. But before I do that, the most important thing is once we get started, if you can please put your camera phones onto camera phones, laptops, everything onto mute. When we get to, I'll interview Onyinye probably for about 20 minutes, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask questions and make comments, and then you can either type that in the dialogue box to hatch ideas, which Shaf, you could raise your hand. Which shall manage, or you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you can ask your questions. So yeah, and then always I think a little bit about Hatch. Have to do this. We've been around since 2006 providing business support specifically to people in the creative industries, and at Hatch we've got a real special interest for people who want to make an impact for Africa. But what we've been doing is providing these business breakfast sessions. Obviously, as soon as COVID happened, people like ourselves, we just wanted to make sure that our community was able to build their capacity and stay in the game, so that you can achieve all the amazing things that you are capable of doing. And so we're hoping that having these sessions every Tuesday, sometimes we skip a Tuesday because, you know, sometimes the weekend can run over, but we hope that through these sessions, we'll be able to give you some solid building blocks to help you with your resilience. But please follow us across the socials, get to know us on Instagram, ideas.hatch, Twitter, Ideas Hatch, Facebook, and also do let us know if there's any topics that you want us to cover. Yeah, those that know me know that I have a ridiculous network, so there's no expert out there that we're happy to approach and make sure that they can bring their insights into these conversations. Okay, so gonna kick off now. So good morning, Onyinye.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, okay, and the work you do, just so that everybody else has a better understanding of who you are. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Onyinye. I'm going to out myself. I'm 21 years old, because I'm quite proud of my young age. I started kind of being an entrepreneur from the age of 12, just with tutoring in my parents' living room. And it's now kind of grown into what is an online education platform called Enrich Learning. I made that transition from face-to-face to online by myself on my own. So from creating the website to learning how to do digital marketing to getting in touch with people and growing. And we just launched our first newsletter. I was a bit hesitant to do that. So I'm still on a journey, and I'm really excited to be sharing that with all of you today and kind of teaching you, I guess, how to do it yourself. I'm also the founder of I'm still calling it a passion project. I don't want to call it another business because I don't want to cause stress to myself. But I'm the founder of something called The Process, which I've set up. It launches next week, so you guys are super lucky. I'm doing my kind of soft launch with this community. The Process is a platform where we aim to teach people how to digitize their business and what it really means to go online in a very easy and seamless way.
Thank you very much for that. That's great. So, you know, you've been interacting with the online community, and I just wanted to ask, what have you kind of like been noticing during this period in terms of how people have, responded to operating their businesses online?
I've really noticed that a lot of people have not paused to look at the situation and adapt specifically for what works well for them and their business. So there's been a huge rise in the use of Instagram, for example. If you are, I mean, I'm assuming everyone here is a creative. So obviously Instagram to some extent is your go-to platform, but there's been a lack of just taking a step back to look at what works well specifically for you and the customers that you're already working with or the clients that you already have. So for example, just because your mate might do really well on Instagram because they're either in the fashion, beauty, or kind of wellness, fitness industry, doesn't mean that you, who may be even in photography, will do very well on Instagram. LinkedIn may be a better platform for you, or Twitter, or one that everyone sleeps on is WhatsApp. And so I think people have not really adapted. I think with this whole pandemic, they've just panicked and gone into, I need to get myself out there. I need to move digitally. I need to do this really, really quick. I had COVID, which was awful, but it also meant that I had to take 5 weeks out. So I had a business where already every week we were dealing with a minimum of like 50 different parents, where I actually stopped delivering all services, even though I was already online. And my mum, she's like my manager, she's like Chris Jenner. She was like, what on earth are you doing? Why would you stop? Like, this is your time. And I said, no, this is my time to pause and to listen to what my customers and my community that I've created want from me. Just because what I was providing at the time simply wouldn't have worked. And I'll be honest, that 5 weeks out, we've generated more revenue now than ever.
So just give us a little bit of a more, so, you know, you're teaching offline. So so which part of it you migrated online?
Okay, so we began we always began by having tuition face to face. And then in 2018, after spending some time in China and seeing that they were doing everything online, literally, I moved to the online space, but I found it quite difficult because my community, predominantly BAME, I hate that term, but whatever. And BAME parents, they don't want their child to have tuition online. They want it face to face because they feel it's more impactful. So that transition was very difficult. So COVID basically forced them to get used to it. We have to go online. But still, majority of the people I was teaching was face to face. I would say about 70% of my clients were still on a face-to-face kind of basis. That was not sustainable. Nobody can come to my house. I mean, I had COVID, so I wasn't trying to make anybody else sick. That was the first thing. The other thing was the services that I was delivering online predominantly weren't scalable. I had prepared well in advance, so I had the option of being scalable. So now we have up to 25 students in a class. But prior to that, it was on a one-to-one basis.
Interesting.
It was very difficult to make enough revenue. And my whole thing is about being more affordable. How can I be more affordable on a one-to-one? I have to charge you loads of money. Whereas now with COVID, we're able to provide sessions for £6.25, which is the cheapest in the market. So I taking that step out and making me think, okay, what can I deliver that people can afford? Because a lot of people have lost their jobs or they've been furloughed and they're not getting enough. They're not getting as much money as they used to, and still make a win and create a positive impact.
No, definitely. I was actually, again, that was my second question. So like, how have you been managing your business? But I mean, in terms of like, the thing that was really interesting that you said was the fact that people did not pause. You know, people just went straight online. So what are some of the things that you've been seeing that maybe you would think are things to avoid or missteps in terms of like how they've been presenting themselves as they've been going online? Or is there?
I think the first thing I've noticed is this massive increase in the use of Facebook advertising. People have forgotten that there are free ways to advertise. Even I made the mistake, I made the mistake of spending £300 in 2 weeks on Facebook advertisements and then not making one conversion to sale. So I did have my failures in that, well, not a failure, my learning curve in that period, which made me realize, hang on a second, you've never had to do this. You've put something on your WhatsApp status. you've had over 1,000 people interact with it and you've made sales. So don't because of coronavirus think, right, I need to like show myself to everybody, and it's not necessary. I think the other thing that people forget is that before you can get engagement, you need to have awareness. So I did a 3-week awareness campaign before making any sales. So in that awareness campaign, I had a 70,000 people reach, which is insane. Across the UK, different types of client, different ethnicities, different socioeconomic backgrounds, and I've managed to pull in people from all over the shop just with that. So my key message in terms of when you're going online, don't forget that awareness comes first, and that's the hardest bit and probably where you will make your loss in terms of money before you move over to that engagement phase. And I hate to talk about numbers because they don't always tell the truth, but the honest truth is that you won't get up to, I mean, if you get up to 10% from awareness to engagement in terms of conversions, in terms of people actually interacting with you, pat yourself on the back, because the average is 0.9%. So people don't think about these things when they are going online, and it's like they want it to be instantaneous. You are fighting with an algorithm. That's always what I tell my customers, is that you're fighting against the grain with the digital world. So there is nothing wrong with you just pressing pause, looking at your different options. You know, WhatsApp broadcast is a powerful thing and it's free. It does the exact same thing as Facebook, but Facebook is going to charge you £5 a day for it. Are you going to get the clicks that you need? You can't guarantee that. And will you get the interaction that you need in order to sell something? Especially right now, interaction is so important. Probably not. So that's the biggest mistake I think I've seen.
Sure. And then when you're talking about the awareness and the reach, was that organic, or did you, you said there was a mixture of paid, but you said that you reached about 70,000 people. What was that tapping in? Yeah.
So I ran a very low cost budget. I wasn't spending more than £5 a day in terms of ads. And then the organic leads were on WhatsApp. And I know I keep talking about WhatsApp, but that's because in this pandemic, what has been the most powerful thing is community. So everybody wants to make money. I understand that, but I actually use this time to build community, and the money has just come as a side. So having things like group chats, and I'll give you an example. So over the last 2 weeks, I've had a family of 3 children sign up to Enrich Learning. Dad was incredibly impressed with the service. Woo. He's then told a friend on WhatsApp, so forwarded him our stuff on WhatsApp. They've then given me a call and said, hey, is it all right for us to forward this again? They forward it to another friend. And all these people, by the way, have all joined our classes. So yeah, it seems quite small and it can be a bit labor intensive when you begin. But now my customers are selling me for free. I don't even give them a discount code for it, I'll be honest. People will often say, oh, you should have a referral scheme. It's already working. Don't fix what's not broken. I don't need to do that right now, because they're loving what I'm providing so much that they're willing to just tell their friends anyway. And it's much easier. I mean, how many times have you seen a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad and actually tagged your friend?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
no,
I've been
I do
lucky.
Hear what you're saying, yeah.
I've been lucky and seen that on our Enrich Learning Facebook page, people have been tagging their friends, but that was after 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks, I've picked up like 10 new clients. So they've tagged their friends. I've still not heard from them. So there is this, the online world, people forget that there is this kind of distance. Whilst we're still able to communicate, we are communicating with distance. And that is it's quite hard to run a business of any nature when the distance is as great as it is at the moment. What you have to do is then think of different ways of communicating to bridge that gap. And again, bridging that gap means you have to work a little bit harder. I mean, there were some days where I was working for 18 hours, but it has paid off, because now.
But it was thoughtful work.
Yeah.
It was, exactly. It was like strategic and planned. It wasn't sort of just, I'm imagining, because one of the things that you said that was really important is the fact that the service offer is really clear and is still a really high quality. And it's one of the things that I've been noticing is the fact that people have abandoned the service offer or they've only focused on the service offer. So it's just a balance of making sure that, from what I'm hearing anyway, you said that you streamlined, you know, what you were offering and just made it really clear, and were able to then therefore give quality service so that when people do come to you, it seems like, okay, good. They've made a good choice.
I made a good
there.
decision.
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to round off a little bit so that I can get people to have an opportunity to ask a few questions. But so you've hinted at this, but are you able to kind of like just add to some of the key learnings maybe and take homes a small business should be considering during this time in relation to taking their business online?
I had a chat with Yemisi before this call, obviously, and I took some time to think, okay, what have I done that's been really effective? Number one, don't feel guilty because people are on furlough / have lost their jobs. Surprisingly, they will still want to part ways with their cash. They will still want your service. And what I've done, which I never thought would work now, is I've given people the option of paying monthly or paying weekly. So I've created plans and packages with a significant discount, but not so much of a discount where I'm making a loss. Like I've not made any, I've made serious gains. So the first thing is, if you're service based and you've got a business or a side hustle or whatever it is you want to call it, sit down and think about whether it's feasible for you to have a plan option or a payment package. Because first of all, it means the money comes into your account without any discussions. We don't get the phone call of, you know, my gas and electric, the kids. We don't have that conversation. The money's come out of your account. You've tapped into this service. Really sorry if it's a bit difficult for you, but at the end of the day, you do have to have that kind of business mind. So that's my first kind of takeaway. The second thing is, if you're offering loads of stuff, this might be a bit painful. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I was supposed to have over 50 classes running every single week. I have scaled that down to 12, and the classes are full. When I started with the 50, there were like 1 or 2 in each class. It wasn't sustainable. It was too much time and not enough people, and it was upsetting me. People now understand exactly what the offer is and they go for it. And then the third takeaway, which I've not really spoken about, so I'll spend a couple of moments on that before questions, is e-commerce, but with e-guides and e-products. So I sat there and I thought, I usually sell like papers. I sit down and I could like past papers for children because there aren't enough of those resources / parents can't gain access to them. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to sell my papers. And I thought, hang on a second, yes, I will. Like, people can just download it instead. So I'll give you an example. I have I'm solving a nationwide issue where teachers aren't, if you're a teacher, no offense to you, but they're not marking kids' work right now because they're stressed and they're probably not getting paid enough to be marking 30 papers every single day. I thought to myself, I'm going to capitalize on that. I'm going to make e-products. I'm going to hire an expert marker, and parents are going to buy these products and their work is going to be marked, and I'm going to make a huge margin out of this because I'm not kind of spending any money on paper or anything like that. It's just time. And I just did it thinking, I wonder if anyone's going to actually buy this. And I woke up to 100 quid in my account because some parents overnight may be frantically trying to think about what do we do for homeschooling tomorrow, came across it and thought, this is a great idea. And I've retained those parents. So if you have anything, if it's hair, people actually pay to watch you do hair, not because they're weird, but because actually things like YouTube, people are starting to see through that. Like on YouTube, they're not telling you all the secrets that, you know, to get those braids neat or whatever. If it's art, I've been working with a client who she's based in Brighton, and she sells she was an art teacher. She taught people how to draw. Now she's teaching people via Zoom. She's holding her classes via Zoom, so she's still maintaining scale, but doing it digitally. You can sell your videos. You can make a guide. I mean, Canva is a beautiful app. If you've not come across it, use it. They've got so Canva is it's like a graphics design website, and they've got a free version and they've got a pro version. I believe the pro version is like $8.99 a month. I would highly recommend every and any creative to be on there. You can make presentations, you can make worksheets, you can make your Instagram posts, you can make your Twitter posts, and people are very superficial, so you want to make it look nice, whatever that means, or pretty. And a lot of my clients, I've said, look, go onto there, use Canva, make your digital product. Don't forget about copyright and IP. So if you've got a logo, stick it on there so people aren't stealing your work. But what I would say is that e-products have helped me massively, and if they've changed the way I'm going to be operating the business forever. It's better for the planet, it's more sustainable, it's again at scale, I can take it down, I can keep it there for a long period of time. It's something that we're missing out on. And when people hear e-commerce, they think selling like a physical like product on maybe eBay or Amazon. But times have kind of moved from that now. If you've got something that can be digitalized, sell it. Yeah. Okay, please sell it.
Definitely, thank you. And actually, just just to wrap up, just give us some top sort of like key action steps really from moving, to move online. You said quite a few different things, but if you could just summarize, I'd be really grateful, and then we can go to questions. Thank you.
So my summary is, number one, scale back if you can. Pause and scale back, because that transition to online can be difficult, especially if technology is not your thing. If you're learning how to use new things, take it down a notch. You can always add your services back, reintroduce them, even use it as an opportunity to rebrand, but scale back and pause. Number two, think about what works for the community you've already built. I made the mistake of trying to move kind of to emailing. And my own mum said to me, look, emails are dead to me. When your brother finishes that school, what am I checking emails again to see what Matalan have tried to sell me? I'm not interested. But WhatsApp, she said to me, every mum knows how to use WhatsApp. And so that made me realize that's what my community want. They don't want emails. They don't want Facebook. They probably don't even know how to use it properly. So focus on your community. If your community is most active on a Facebook page, create that Facebook page and engage with them. And then the third thing I would say to everyone is awareness in this time is more important than engagement, because this coronavirus is only for a season. And if you focus too much on trying to sell without creating awareness and creating an environment where people feel safe working with you and will want to come back to you, you'll start to make a loss post-COVID-19. So examples of ways I've done it, I have a series of group chats. I speak to my customers every single day, and most of the time it's just one message: good morning, hope you're having a lovely day. If you have any concerns or if there's anything you want to let me know, drop me a message in this group chat. I'll get back to you as and when I can. And some parents have actually said to me they would rather continue the Enrich Learning lesson, as in they're filing for homeschooling moving forward, than sending their kids back to school, which you would think is ludicrous, but it's because I've maintained my awareness. I've not gone anywhere. Look, I'm coming up on your phone every single day. So when you choose to forget me, I remind you that I'm still there. That's really, really important in this time, because like I said, the dust will settle, things will go back to normal. We'll all have to get back on that tube to go back to work. You don't want to be forgotten. Right, those are my 3 tips.
Thank you very much. That was amazing. Thank you, Onyinye. Seriously, that was really beautiful. Any questions, please? Yeah, we'll do virtual clapping.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Questions. Let me have a look. There's any? Oh, Connie, lovely. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's really inspiring, and I think there's some really good points in there as well, especially around awareness. I wanted to ask how important you feel a website is, because you talked about sort of WhatsApp, and I definitely agree Canva is great, but how much engagement do you think people are having with websites themselves?
I'll be honest, I ran a business for 8 years without a website very successfully, and being fully transparent, Wix have approached me to sponsor me, but I'm going to say that you don't need a website to do well with your business. When you make a website, you've got to do it well. And to do it well, even if you do it yourself, you have to spend money. I'm going to be honest, if you're trying to do a website, I hope you've got at least £300 to pay for the domain, to make sure people can pay online. If you don't have that money and your website is a bit shoddy, the process isn't seamless, customers will drop off. So this idea right now, I think it's really bad that places like Squarespace and Wix and GoDaddy have upped their marketing and told everyone, have you got a great business idea? You need to sell it on a website. No, you don't. You can sell it on a Facebook page. It's free. You can get WhatsApp for Business. So it's different from the normal WhatsApp app. WhatsApp for Business has like a shop section that is on WhatsApp where people can buy your stuff directly from there. That app is free. You can advertise on Instagram. Advertising on Instagram, to a certain extent, if you're not like following their process of like paid advertising, it's free. You can advertise on Twitter. I think before I had a website, I had 40 clients coming to me every single week. So it made sense by that point. And I was 8 years deep. So don't make a website, A, unless you can make it look beautiful and seamless and you've got the other components to make it work. And B, if you have the time, because if you have a website, you have to keep updating it. GDPR, you can't just keep collecting people's email addresses. You have to monitor all of those things. Is it worth the stress when you're starting out? No. By the way, I really wanted to say this before, but we have the same flowers. They're from Bloom and Wild, aren't they?
They are. They were a lovely gift from a friend. She sent them to me. They're so good this week.
Yeah, they smell beautiful. But that would be my advice. I think if you think you're ready for the website, and I would say you're ready for a website when you've got like a consistent certain number of customers, and at that point it is easier for you to send out the link than it is to write a short paragraph in a WhatsApp broadcast. Once you get to that point, then move on to the website. But creating a decent website to begin with all the functionalities that you would want, i.e. payment online that's secure and safe, etc., that costs money. If you're not willing to spend that money now, then put a pause on it. And use things like, for example, because people say, oh, but if I don't have a website, how can people pay online? Have you heard of PayPal? It's free. Like, there are so many free alternatives that I don't think people are making use of effectively. And all it takes is for you to be a bit organized about it. Have a system that doesn't require a website. Once that gets going, then at least you have someone to show the website to.
But also a lot of the, thank you for that, Connie. I was just going to add, a lot of the businesses that we're working with are very established. And so they will, so, you know, if you could speak a little bit to that as well, because psychologically anyway, having a website is perceived as a marker of being established, ? You know, is it, does it bring confidence to the professional client base that you have, or the long-term client base that you have ?
Okay. And someone's just asked a question about traffic as well. So using a website for traffic, so I'll address that all in one.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, the website does take you to the next level of professional. So you seem more legit, I guess, with the website. So for that, if you want it for that reason, and you just want a website that functions like a landing page, so a landing page is just where someone can kind of see what you do, maybe subscribe to a newsletter for updates, or just subscribe to your website, and you collect that information as data because that's what's most valuable right now, then fine and good. When it comes to a website for professionalism, for data, for traffic, you need to constantly be updating that website. So even with Enrich Learning, I think a month we get at the moment 1,000 new visitors. The reason why is because I maintain an active blog. But for me to maintain that active blog, I had to hire a blog editor. We have 3 or 4 blogs coming out every single week. And from a wide range of ages writing for these blogs. So I've got little kids who write for it, and they've been doing a Life in Lockdown series, and it's been hilarious. And I've managed to convince, using platforms like LinkedIn, some serious policy writers, people in the education space that are quite senior, sharing their views on the evolution of education. So what I'm saying is, right, if you want the website in terms of professionalism, I totally understand what you're saying. Keep it simple though. Don't have every single thing in the world on there, because then it becomes too difficult to maintain. You want people to go on the website. If there's a call to action, that call to action may be, I don't know, be booking an appointment with you, for example. Make that process seamless and as automated as you possibly can. If you're trying to build traffic, blogs are the most effective way to build traffic. You need to give people a reason to go to your website. Put your content on your website. This is where you then have to think about creating that balance between sharing on Facebook, maybe your Facebook page, and redirecting people to the website. So one trick I always say to people is, with our blogs, I'll take a really funny part of maybe what a child has written, or really kind of something that's really going to hit home. And in my LinkedIn post, I'll say, hey, like, we've got this new blog, so-and-so wrote ABC. It really moved me, or it really moved this person that read it. Check it out. Within 24 hours, we have like 200 reads. That's 200 new people that have gone to the website. And from there, people have said, oh, okay, like you do this as well, and you do this as well. So if you're looking for that traffic, blogs are the way forward, or vlogs if you're a video, if you're into that space. And yes, it does make it more official, but you've got to weigh up, like, if it's, don't forget that a Facebook page is still a website. It's just not your own domain.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is that actually, if you're paying for it, make sure that it's you know, it really pays for itself.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a website. I just wanted to move you on to Carolyn's question, which she was asking, how do you suggest using YouTube and how to make money using it? Carolyn, can you just wave your hand so that Onyinye knows who you are? Thank you.
Hi.
Super. Yeah.
YouTube. I have a YouTube channel as well. Let me tell you something, guys. YouTube is headache. You got to film the video. You've got to edit the video. It is long. And my channel, like, I've got 100 subscribers, and you know, one very, very popular video, I did a vlog of what it's like to be a postgraduate student, but the headache it caused me to edit that thing, that's my problem with YouTube. But I tell you where it does work. I use YouTube to advertise what I'm doing, and I use it to give free bits of information. One thing I will say I've learned about going digital is that people like to feel like they're getting things for free. That's just, so you have to make them feel like that, but they're not really getting anything for free, because 9 times out of 10 they then tap into my service, so it wasn't free after all. But one thing I will say is, I'll give you an example. Before I launched the online COVID school, I made a video specifically for parents, explaining what Boris said in words that were far too complicated for half the nation, about how the lockdown was going to work and what it meant for GCSE exams and what it meant for A-level exams, etc. The video was about 10 minutes long. I then shared it on the website, shared it on Instagram, on YouTube, etc. And parents then watched it. And at the end of the video, or halfway through the video, or even at the beginning, you can say, look, I've got this service. If this interests you, tap into it. And well, I'll see you on my website when you've paid for it. But if you're not interested, carry on watching this video, because I've got some really useful bits of information for you that will kind of, I guess, transform your life, because your child's exams just got cancelled and you need to know what's going on. So that's one way of using it.
Making it really, really useful if you're going to be bothered, because basically what you're saying is, because actually you've got to put on a really good video, you've got to put work into editing it. So make sure that it's going to create leads and be really useful.
Exactly. Yeah. So the other thing I've done with YouTube is, don't forget that YouTube has the private view. So like, people can only watch your video if they've got the link, and people love to feel exclusive and special. So one of the things that I've done in terms of advertising, and this is with very affordable paid advertising, is I've gotten my tutors to record a free half-an-hour session. And on our adverts, we say, hey, like, if you put in your email address, because I need that email address so I can keep sending you stuff. If you give me your email address and you agree to sign up to our newsletter, then what we can do is we will send you, so automatically, so again, that's why I said automation is really important. We'll send you a link to our free French class, and your child can try that. So nice. I didn't have to edit that. On the platform, so a bit like Zoom, I hit record, right, the teacher delivered the class, fantastic, took it down, put it on YouTube, there I've cut out all of that editing long stuff because that's just a headache. And I've given a really good resource to parents. So even if you can't afford the tuition, you've got that free half-an-hour class, and I'm doing that consistently. We have a free maths class, a free English class, and these things are also on the website. So that's how I use YouTube, and that's how you can make money from it.
Thank you.
But don't think that you're going to get 1,000 subscribers and make money from it that way, because that requires effort.
That's actually a business model in itself. And I think what we're talking about during this session is the strategy of becoming an online business. But however, if you are looking at, from what I'm hearing, if you're looking at positioning your business as a YouTube business, that's a completely different narrative. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be YouTube-based workshops, and there'll be very specific learning about how do you actually make conversions on the YouTube platform. But this actually leads on to next question from Prince. Where are we? All right, okay, so his question, so thank you, Karen, I hope that answered your question. Yeah. So his question is about content creation for your business. Recent times, most businesses are leaning towards a more casual presence online with use of memes, GIFs, reaction videos. How do you determine the type of content to create for your client? That's a nice one, actually. Yeah,
it's a really good one.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I've not spoken a lot about content creation and how it works, especially with social media. So I'll give you the answer in full. First of all, that casual presence, you find it more on Twitter than any other social media platform. Twitter is the home of memes and GIFs. That's where they come from. Reaction videos, that is where they're based. Twitter, I call it the culture hub, because they've been very clever. If you with the right algorithm, you'll end up on Black Twitter. With the right algorithm, you'll end up on Fiat 500 Twitter. With the right algorithm, you'll end up on, excuse my French, but pleb political Twitter. It really depends on what you tweet and who you're engaging with. So in terms of that casual presence, that's where it works most effectively. How do you determine the type of content to create for your clients? Well, you need to look at this is where kind of customer profiles, and I do sit down and make these. I think, okay, what 5 types of customer do I have? Okay, I've got the Nigerian mom who's in her 50s, middle class. She wants to see her child sitting at a desk reading and writing. Any memes or any reaction videos I use have got to reflect that. We have the working class parent who doesn't really understand education, the system at all, but wants the best for their child. So I kind of need easy to digest kind of content going out there. Enrich Learning has now gone international. So on a side note, don't forget that digital means that there are no borders. So just because what you're selling doesn't work in the UK doesn't mean it won't work in India or Indonesia or Malaysia or Pakistan. Or I've had relations with all of those countries over the last 8 weeks. So there are no borders. So your content should have no borders. Your content should be, unless you have unless 90 to 100% of your clients really are just in the north of England, then your content should maybe focus on things that are relevant to people there. But you can also pull in a different type of client with your content. So to begin with, I was only kind of doing what I'm doing for the working class, for those who didn't really have a lot of money. But then I realized that I kind of needed people with quite a lot of money to bridge the gap so that I could continue to fund some things for those who don't have. And so what I did is I adapted my content. I started using more middle class looking homes in our Instagram pictures. And surprise, surprise, I actually had a Premier League football player approach me, and we now teach his kids. So it does work. You want to kind of determine the type of content for your clients. One, look at who you've already got and make sure whatever GIFs or memes or reaction videos that you pick to reflect your brand and your business is easily relatable to that person. Don't be afraid to ask them as well. I actually asked the mums, or what would you want to see? Or I want to see X, or I want to see Y. And that's what I would put out there. If you're in the phase where you're thinking, I need to pick up a new type of client, then you need to start doing some research. What is that new type of client like? For example, surprise, surprise, most moms really love Amazon at the moment. So I strategically make sure there's a pile of Amazon boxes in the back of a photo that I'm using, because they're on it all the time trying to get groceries or needs or stuff for the house. That's how you determine the type of content, but that takes time. You really do have to think about it. Don't be lazy. Sometimes, I mean, I've sat there and created hundreds of customer profiles, but it's worked in my favor, because now I know exactly what type of client I'm pulling in and what I need to do to like put it to get their attention.
Yeah.
And that's how you go viral as well, if that helps.
No, definitely. Thank you so much for that. Wow, that was beautiful. Do we have one more question or something like that? Do we have any more questions? That was amazing. Do you know what? The reason I'm paused is there's so much going on in my mind.
Oh, like so sorry, guys. Sorry for information overload.
No, not at all. I'll be honest with you, these business breakfasts, we've been looking at so many different topics, and it's like, how do you cram all this information into 45 minutes? And thank you for being so generous as well, because that's one of the things that I've noticed is we've said all these things in a strategic way, but the truth is we really want to make sure that we survive as a community. As you can tell, there's a lot of people on this call who are making an impact for Africa and Black businesses. And, my biggest worry was the fact that as soon as this would happen, who would be the first to be sidelined or marginalized kind of thing. So I'm really grateful to you to showing real resilience. Aside from your words, I think your actions have been really inspiring. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate you. Do we do snapping or clapping? But thank you so much. Seriously, definitely thank you. So, and thank you to everybody else that's joined us on this call. I feel we've got some regulars now, which is really beautiful. So thank you so much. Like I said, we're doing these sessions every Tuesday. Our next session is actually about building your brand, which interestingly enough, it's not by accident. It leads off of what Onyinye is saying. We are really trying to take you on this business development journey, or keep your businesses resilient as we go through this COVID crisis. So if you can, join us next Tuesday, 9:30, register on the Eventbrite. Please do share with people who you feel would benefit. Right now, there's a lot of noise. It's a really important time to actually sit back and have a look at how to get your brand right, really experiment, potentially use this opportunity to make some mistakes that you might not have been able to if it hadn't been for this current situation, okay? And really get your voice right. And so that, as Onyinye was saying, your client profiles, get those right and be able to speak to the people that really need what you have to offer. All right then, so thank you again, everybody. Have a really amazing week. Don't forget to rest. And do feel free to email us if you have any questions about any other topics that we should cover. Okay then, bye-bye everybody.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you, Onyinye. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.